Good morning. Welcome to Village in Motion. My name is Susan Gerhard. Today is Wednesday, March 29th, and this morning we have hats on our table here with us, which you will see, and we have Catherine Noble, our volunteer coordinator, here to tell us why we have hats.
Well, we have lots of beautiful hats here.
We do.
Good morning. We have hats here that we're displaying to talk about something that happened this past weekend here on campus. And it was a volunteer event that we coordinated with the programming department at Garden Ridge. And the goal of this event was to have volunteers come in and help our residents at Garden Ridge enjoy a day on campus away from the Garden Ridge building.
So they took a mini field trip.
Exactly, and
Wonderful.
It was wonderful. So what we did was we coordinated with a couple schools. Paul VI was our main lead. And we offered the students there a leadership opportunity to sort of help with us plan this event. So
that's a high school?
High school. Paul VI High School is in Fairfax. So we had two group leaders, and we just, over the course of a few months, we planned with them and coordinated with them to have this event. So the theme was a Downton Abbey event.
So the students planned this?
Well,
in
with
coordination with you,
right,
and with the leadership at Garden Ridge.
Exactly, exactly. So it was, they came up with the theme Downton Abbey, which was perfect because our residents absolutely loved that show.
Okay.
The era, the hats, everything. So you come up with a theme, but you have to make that theme come to life.
Now, how many students participated from the
school?
So
we had Paul VI students, and we also had West Springfield High School students. So we had over 100 volunteers.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a group that came in just for setup, a group that came in for the event, a group that came in for cleanup. It was really well coordinated through the programming department, Renee, Bud, and Yolanda at Garden Ridge and their team. And also, I helped them with that. And then, of course, our great volunteers.
That's terrific. So how many people from Garden Ridge participated? How many of our residents there?
Sure. So we had almost 70 residents that came out for the day at this event from Garden Ridge.
That's wonderful. Now, how did you get them from Garden Ridge to the event? Where was the event held?
It was at Hunter's Crossing Conference Center, and the room was beautifully decorated, and we got them from point A to point B, which is a great question because logistically that can be quite a challenge when you're talking about people that maybe use assisted devices or maybe in wheelchairs, and they just need a little help and support. So what we did was we had volunteers along with the Garden Ridge leadership team and our wonderful independent living volunteers all kind of coordinated and helped get from point A to point B. We had a special shuttle that took people around. We also helped walk people through the hallways, which was really a lot of fun because you know how our hallways are so beautifully decorated with all the entranceways. So that was a lot of fun for residents to see that along the way.
That's wonderful. So I'm thinking the word convoy comes to mind. I'm sure you had a convoy of people.
It pretty much was. Yes, it pretty much was. So it was just a wonderful event. And the theater group here at Green Spring really were instrumental in helping this come to life because, as I mentioned before, you have the theme, but how are you going to make it look like the theme?
And that's where the hats come in.
Hats, costumes, a slew of things. And it just helped. The residents wore the hats. They loved it. The students got all dressed up, not only in the hats, but the costumes. We had students dressed up just as, the servers of Downton Abbey and going around with silver trays and, just staying in role and character. And we had a whole group of students that dressed up and got on stage and acted out skits from the show.
Oh, wonderful.
So that was entertaining.
Great.
And,
did you have music?
We did. We had Dale Jarrett.
Oh, wow.
I know, who's an all-time favorite.
Wonderful.
He was on, the grand piano, and we had a candelabra right there on the piano, so it looked so fancy and nice, and it was really spectacular.
And you had food?
We had food. We had cookies, and it was a high tea. So we had,
of course,
real china and tea cookies and, variety of teas. So the residents got to pick out the flavor tea that they would like. We had these beautiful decorative teapots on the tables, so that was really nice. It was beautiful. It was really truly.
So this was for 70 of the residents from Garden Ridge who were able to get out. Tell me how they enjoyed it.
Oh, loved it. And also their family members.
Oh, good.
So many family members came as well. I think the thing that stood out in my mind the most was a comment from a Garden Ridge resident who is in a wheelchair right now. And just because you're in a wheelchair, it doesn't mean that you can't dance.
So you had dancing.
Oh, we had the dance floor was hot.
Good.
Everyone was cutting a rug, so
All
to
right.
speak. But one of the residents from Garden Ridge, she was dancing with a volunteer, and you know what she said? She said, before I was in a wheelchair, I was a dancer, and this is just great.
So she loved it.
Loved it.
That's wonderful.
And it was just nice to see the family members there. The Garden Ridge leadership was wonderful. Our independent living residents, our dance group, our ballroom dance group came.
And helped?
Yes, because
Good.
Nobody wants to be the first one on the dance floor. You know
that's
how
right.
that is.
Yes.
So they didn't hesitate. They came, they were dancing, and really got everyone dancing. So that was really wonderful.
That's terrific. You were telling me about one of the students and how he enjoyed a costume and what a difference a costume made for him.
Yes.
Would you share that story?
Oh, absolutely. So we asked the children, the students, to dress kind of in black and white or formal wear, like what they would wear to their prom or something. And we knew we were going to have help from the theater group, but we didn't know if we would have enough costumes for everyone.
Sure.
So we wanted everyone to look nice, and they did. They dressed so beautifully. But as you know, everyone might not have, a lot of fancy things at home.
Sure.
So one student came, he was a young man, and he was dressed, in casual clothing, and he even said himself when he first came, gosh, I'm sorry, I should have dressed up better, and
Well, some kids don't have any other clothing.
Exactly.
Right.
You don't know everyone's background. So, but when he came, I said, well, don't worry, we have some things. So we went down and we had all our costumes laid out, and Marge Crape, our volunteer, was there, and she and Lynn O'Connor, and they were all, and Mary Sue Gardner, they were all helping the kids get dressed. Good. It was really quite cute. So they picked out a nice gray vest and an ascot and this nice fancy gray top hat for this individual, and it just made all the difference because
Wonderful.
He was our top, asker of dancing. He
So
just went around
turned
to
into
everyone.
a whole different person.
Totally. And he just had so much fun.
That's good.
Yeah, it was great. It was
That's
really
good.
great to see.
Good, good. I think that you gave our crew here some photos.
I did, yep.
And I'm hoping that they can share some of those.
Sure.
There they are.
So there's Mr. O'Connor dancing, and Mrs. O'Connor in the background. It's just the dance floor truly was very active. That's one of our volunteers, and with the help of the theater group, the gray top hat and the red bow tie was awesome. You notice right there on his shirt he had a little
like ribbon?
Ribbon. I wanted to mention that. So our West Springfield group that came, they wanted to come because we had a volunteer in 2005 that came here, Leslie Sherman. Was her name, and I remember working with her. She helped do a prom at Garden Ridge. Well, she passed in the Virginia Tech shooting.
Oh.
I think she was a sophomore then. But anyway, so they knew how much it meant to her, so they came to honor her memory, to keep this kind
nice.
of going, and they gave out those ribbons to everyone. It was really quite beautiful.
Nice.
Yep. So
It
great
looks like
pictures.
everyone was having a good time.
Oh,
Look
yes.
at those smiles.
Yes. Yes.
And you shared the hats.
Oh, the hats were everywhere. Everyone. We also had a photo station with the backdrop of the Downton Abbey castle, and people got to stand there and take their pictures, and it was just wonderful.
That's wonderful.
We're speaking about the hats.
Let's talk about these hats.
So the hats are absolutely gorgeous, and I did want to mention the theater group, but specifically, some of these hats are so beautiful, and they were actually handmade.
Yes.
It's hard to imagine that some of these hats were handmade, but they were. And one of our dear residents who just passed, Verna Finley, she made many of these hats. She made these, actually, the three most beautiful hats here.
Beautiful ones.
Yep, all these three hats right in the front she made. And I just think it's it touched my heart knowing that, although she passed this weekend, that these hats were out being used,
These
bringing
hats
joy.
will live on.
Yes, it was her spirit was there
Yes.
with us, and I just think it was a real tribute to her that these children and the residents were so happy because of her
Yes.
very skilled and talented work.
For sure. That's wonderful. Wonderful that they would be able to live on, and that's what she would have liked, I'm sure, for them to be shared.
I agree. I agree.
Yes, right. Let me ask you one other question. Tell me, how good a learning experience was this for the students to interact with an age group that they may not normally interact with? Did
Right.
they enjoy it?
They enjoyed it very much, actually so much so that many are going to be coming back to volunteer.
Excellent.
We have an Easter egg party hunt that's going to be on April 8th. It's a campus event that's held at Garden Ridge. It's a Garden Ridge event for the residents and, you know, families and grandchildren, great-grandchildren. It's a big, big event. So we need a lot of volunteers for that as well. So they are coming back for that, and many are actually going to follow up to become regular volunteers now, which really was...
Oh, that's wonderful.
It was a strategic goal, too, to not only have this one event, but we want to keep that intergenerational volunteerism going. So that's great to hear. They had a wonderful experience.
So for these students, they started out just to check a box on something they needed to do for school.
That's right.
But it came into something more.
That's right.
So, hey, maybe I'd like to come back and do this just on my own.
Right. Most of them needed, you know, 5 hours of service.
Sure.
And this was a great time to get all 5 hours
Right.
of service. And I can tell you, most of them stayed the whole time. Many of the people that said, well, I'm just going to do the setup crew, they came after we really set up, and they set up all the tables, everything. They said, you know, can I stay the whole day? And they went home, changed, and came back. And,
Oh, wonderful.
You know, it was great to see that.
Wonderful.
Yeah, they
So we
enjoyed
had high school volunteers, we had independent living residents volunteer.
Yes.
Really a good effort to help these 70 residents have a good afternoon away from Garden Ridge.
That's right. And, you know, the Garden Ridge leadership, meaning, you know, a lot of the managers, they came in. You know, they came in, they worked a full 5 days, and I'm sure are very
Right.
tired, but they willingly came in, and many with their families, you know, their children, to help out, to show their children about service.
Sure.
And I thought that was great. It was really a very spirited, beautiful event. It truly was.
Well, congratulations on a well-done event.
Thank you.
That's good. Very much of a team effort from the entire
was.
campus and the community.
Absolutely.
That's good. We have a couple of minutes left. Anything else going on in the volunteer world you would like to talk to us about?
Sure. Well, I would like to mention about the Easter egg hunt. If anybody in independent living would like to volunteer for the Easter egg hunt, if they can give me a call or email me, my phone number is 703-923-3154. We are looking for independent living residents to volunteer. That's always a big event.
And what would we be volunteering to do?
Sure. A whole slew of things. So we have cotton candy machines. We have popcorn machines. We have people that are going to be dressed in characters. The theme is DreamWorks. So we need escorts to kind of help people around. We need to have escorts to help with the Easter Bunny and line control when the kids are waiting in line to get their picture taken with the Easter Bunny, or we're going to have a petting zoo. Need help with that. So there.
So you
Plenty
need
of
people
things.
who can stand, you can use people who can sit.
Absolutely.
You can use anybody who's willing to come and help.
That is so
This
true.
is an indoor or an outdoor event?
It's both.
Okay.
Weather permitting, it will be both. We actually will have a little train that goes around campus. Mr. O'Connor usually mans that and we have a little train hat for him this year. So that's usually a lot of fun. Lots of people will be here, lots of kids, lots of families. So it's just, you know, we need help.
So you need help. If you'd like to volunteer,
That's
call
right.
Catherine.
That's right.
That's good.
Yes, and Volunteer Appreciation Week is the last week in April, so I will be posting a lot of information about that, some events. We are going to have a couple events open to everyone so that we can use that not only to say thank you to our active volunteers, but maybe, you know, it's a great opportunity for people that might be interested in volunteering to come and meet some of the active volunteers and get more information.
Excellent. Well, thank you for volunteering to come here and talk to us today.
My pleasure.
And we
Thank
look
you.
forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with another segment.